Welcome to V for Veganism. I'm your host, Kirsten Marilyn. In a world that has normalized cruelty, captivity, enslavement, and violence against non-human animals, we here at V for Veganism would like to present you with an alternative, a vegan lifestyle. In this series, we'll be talking to some amazing vegans and bringing you on a journey to discover sustainable, cruelty-free alternatives to everyday products from cleaning supplies to clothing and everything in between. It's our mission to show you that veganism is not just a diet, but a way of life that does not strive for perfection, but intends to do the most good and the least harm. We intend to normalize veganism in order to combat the normalization of atrocities committed against innocent, sentient beings in today's society. And we hope to show you that small changes made each day by people like you can help to combat this epidemic of violence. So join me as we meet people who hope to change the world through veganism and discover ways that we ourselves can be a part of the solution.
I'm here with Jill Carnegie. She is a professional animal activist and a leader in the activism movement and also a professional vegan. So we wanted to get your expertise on veganism, also the difference between veganism and vegetarianism.
Vegetarianism is something that has gone, at this point, extraordinarily mainstream, and that is a big step forward. I grew up vegetarian, I was born of a vegetarian pregnancy, and I feel really blessed to have grown up that way. We were a little bit different than other vegetarians in that we also avoided down, we avoided silk, but this is all before online shopping was available. 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it was more unusual to be vegetarian at that time than it is to be vegan now. But the definition really of vegetarianism is that you avoid meat and flesh. So you don't consume fish, you don't consume birds, you don't consume animals like cows and pigs. But you still might use animal products, you might still use products that test on animals or attend entertainment venues that use animals. Veganism seeks to avoid contributing our dollars and our support to any industry that exploits or kills an animal. So that would include eating animals or anything that comes from an animal, their secretions such as their breast milk or their eggs. It also excludes clothing that uses materials that come from animals such as wool, and also products that have been tested on animals or forms of entertainment that exploit animals such as zoos and circuses. Now that we have the term plant-based, we don't need to use the confusing vegan diet anymore. That refers to a person restricting consuming animals and their secretions in their diet. But it does not necessarily mean that they're taking an ethical stance to avoid contributing to the suffering of animals. Right. Because veganism is a social justice movement. It's about justice. It's about standing up for victims and moving our consumer dollars away from supporting cruelty that honestly the majority of people don't agree with.
Welcome to New York, everybody! That's another thing I figured out to do, the tour bus.
Veganism at its core is activism. Our friend Eddie Sullivan, who is a sound engineer by day, takes his veganism a step further by actively fighting on the streets of New York City against the abusive carriage horse industry.
You realize this is animal abuse, right?
How vegan are you?
I'm a member of the Vegan High Council, which is an interplanetary governing body of vegans that regulate vegan behavior among vegans and delegate vegan policy.
We're here at the Hack Line on 59th Street by the park where they keep the horse carriages.
Horses naturally would want to be together in a group, and they never get to do that. They're strapped to these carriages, blinders are put on them so that they are not distracted. A metal bit is put in their mouth which steers them. And if you're here watching the activities of these drivers, you see all these little additive, oppressive behaviors that add up to just a miserable life for these horses. So we want to talk to people about that. We want to try to fill them in. We want to get them to think about what they're doing and confront the oppression themselves and realize. And we've been real successful. I mean, people have decided not to take the carriage rides. Thank you very much. These horses are abused animals and they're forced to work in the streets. This guy will take you around. He really knows the city. He'll take you around. It's a good choice. I'm very pro-union and pro-labor. I think unions are fantastic for people. The problem is that there's no union protecting the horses. They're doing all the work. These guys sit and look at the horses behind all day.
You think the horse wants to wear this stupid purple bullshit on his head?
Right.
If nothing else. So interesting to me too is in New York we feel like we're such a progressive city and we do things first, but there are several cities already that have banned horse carriages.
Right.
So why are we on the back end of that movement?
As progressive as we like to think we are, we also spawned Trump. You know, I mean, really.
You're fired.
He's just an oppressive guy on many levels. So the fact that oppression like this horse carriage industry exists in this city, it doesn't surprise me when you add up all the other oppressions. NYPD is the largest militarized body of military force on the planet. It's also the home of Wall Street and big global banking. There's a lot of oppression that is tied into New York City. So yeah, we're progressive in a lot of ways. We're a vegan's paradise with all our vegan restaurants and everything. So that's cool. We're eating less animals in a lot of ways. But, you know, this is an abuse that the entire planet knows about and sees when they come and visit our city, and it's really unfortunate.
I'm here at Soul Dance Center with Carla Choco. She is the founder of Soul Dance Center and a promoter of veganism through dance, which is incredible. I just wanted to ask you, how did you find your way to veganism?
I was born, I guess, really sick with I had sinuses, I couldn't really breathe. The only option back in the day in Mexico is they literally have to cut your face open and clear your underneath of your face out. And my mom was like, she's 5 years old. I don't think that's an option. So then she started doing research until she found holistic health, and they told her if you go vegetarian, she can eat any fish, any seafood, any meat. And then that what saved me basically. And then I skipped the surgery.
That's amazing. I mean, that's proof right there.
She became vegetarian, I was vegetarian, and my sister literally, she was vegetarian all her life. She never ever tried meat, and then she went vegan, so she's the lucky one. Yeah. And I was like, you're not about to be better than me. I'm gonna go vegan too. And I didn't know as much, I did it first just to oh yeah, I'm gonna step it up. But then I started doing all these research and finding all these videos on YouTube and everything that happens in factory farming, and I was just I can't even look at it the same way ever again. The goal we're doing downstairs on the lobby section, we want to do a little vegan cafe. So we're gonna have only vegan products, everything vegan, because all the kids are here already. Might as well offer them products that are better for them than just what they give you outside.
And speaking of What the Health, which I just watched, they classify processed meats, which includes a lot of things that we feed our kids, as a type 1 carcinogen.
That's crazy.
And that's along with cigarettes and alcohol and a number of other things that you wouldn't give your kids cigarettes. You wouldn't say, oh, go smoke this pack of cigarettes, but we feed our children this garbage every day. So that's amazing that you have these kids here and you're influencing them, and you're influencing them all around, not just in dance, but in their lifestyle as well.
To me, that's so important because my favorite type of dance is the dance with a meaning. Anybody can shake to shake, whatever, look beautiful, glitter, whatever, but when you're dancing to say something that matters, that you need to send a message out and make sure people understand what's going on, because we live in a blindfold and we don't know what's going on outside. So that's my favorite type of dance. And the fact that I have all these kids, I'm what better option than to be listen, get informed, you gotta watch this, look at this YouTube video, I'm posting this, animals, you gotta be nice to them. So I'm always thinking of making them a little aware of what's happening.
I love to be free to live my life the way I want.
The Elastic Vegans is the dance company that we created 3 years ago, and it's only vegan dancers. And we always talk, the first year was about factory farming, The second year was about animal testing. This time we're doing the circus animals and any animal in captivity, the zoo, SeaWorld, everything. So it's pretty nice. And we also tell the kids, okay, we're gonna make banners, like watch some, info about like SeaWorld or the zoos, and like we need to stop this for the animals because they're suffering. So they get it and they get excited and they're like, oh yeah, we're protecting them. I'm like, yes, we are.
She has no deficiencies in anything.
No deficiency in energy, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
Can I ask you a question, Mia? Would you answer to the camera?
Can you answer a question?
Great.
It's a microphone. You have to speak in it when you answer the question.
Okay.
So we're gonna do one more
So
time.
ask one more time.
Okay.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Mia, how do you feel about being vegan?
Because we don't eat animals.
Why don't you eat animals, honey?
Because they are friends, not food.
Yes.
That's right. Very good.
Let's go put some food together.
We are making a garbanzo and spinach watercress salad.
And the prep work wasn't even that much. It took us like a few minutes.
Yeah, we cut some onions, red onions, we cut a red pepper, some like spinach, which is a great source of fiber, protein, phytonutrients. I give it a little crunch up there. And we all remember Popeye.
Yeah.
In the food world, there's things that complement each other. Sunflower seeds and spinach work together in harmony. They're like avocados and tomatoes. So it's like black pepper and turmeric. So adding these together helps the digestion of these foods, the green foods, but it also increases the nutritional density 5 times. This is the harmony of food, like Chinese medicines. And then we're going to take some watercress. This is a super high antioxidants. So antioxidants is what you really want, at least in 1 or 2 of your meals, if not every meal all the time. And something as simple as this, it's got slightly peppery taste. So foods like red pepper and mango are high in vitamin C. So this helps the absorption of the iron in food. And of course, it's starting to look beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love mango.
So yeah, the seeds are going to drop to the bottom there. So I'm going to have a little piece of that. What we're going to do next is take the dressing that I made. So this dressing was simple, no oils, nothing needed. We just blended up some dates, fresh limes juice, jalapeno juice, cumin, oregano. So we've got this lovely little dressing. It's quite thick. When you massage your dressing into your food, it really gets the flavor into every bite, because sometimes the dressing doesn't reach every part. And then we have some lovely walnuts. Every meal we need a healthy fat for nutrient absorption in our stomachs. Without that healthy fat, the nutrients really don't absorb in our stomachs at all. So something as simple as just sprinkling in some seeds like sunflower seeds or walnuts or almonds or pumpkin seeds, garbanzo beans. Where do you get your protein from? Beans. Before all supplements came along, this is how we've been eating for thousands of years, This is how our body responds to food. This is how our body draws the vitamins, the micronutrients and the macronutrients out of food. It's designed that way. But obviously we live in, like you said, that capitalistic world where profit margins and supplements and protein powders. I mean, remember the American taxpayer subsidizes the meat industry $25 billion a year. So that keeps the price of meat very low.
Yeah.
I can't force people in this way. I can't make people become vegan. That's a moral and ethical choice. But what I can teach is plant-based nutrition and how to, where you can get your protein from, your 5 macronutrients, your protein, your complex carbohydrates, your healthy fats, your fiber, and your water. These are your things that you need every day and in large quantities. The pleasure trap is something that in psychology and food, I mean, it's a real thing, Our body creates these chemicals, dopamine when it comes to food, and then every time you eat it wants to hit that high. So, I have empathy for animals, but I have empathy for human beings, omnivores alike, because I understand the struggle, I understand the deep psychological conditioning that it is to break the food habit.
I became vegetarian at 19. I'd wanted to do it for a really long time, but it was very weird back then. We're talking, I'm so going to out myself, 1969. And I heard about veganism a couple of years later and really wanted to do it but it seemed so weird and so extreme. And I also was dealing with a binge eating disorder. I was always either binging or dieting, a lot of self-hatred and that kind of thing going on. And I thought, oh my gosh, I gained weight as a vegetarian. If I become a vegan, I'm going to be huge. And yet I knew it was the right thing.
Right.
It took me so long. I was really mentored, and I would say believed in, by Jay and Freya Dinshaw at the American Vegan Society, because there wasn't a lot of other input out there about going vegan. But they stuck with me, and then I came to recovery for the eating disorder, and was finally able to make the choice I wanted to make, which was vegan, and that was 1983. So it's been a while, and I love it. It's been very good to me, and the exact opposite thing happened from what I thought, and that was that I did lose the weight, and I've also been really healthy for a really long time.
There's this moment in Flaked that I love that I don't think a non-vegan would pick up on, where you go to the refrigerator, you're gonna make, like, your new girlfriend's little girl, you're gonna make her breakfast.
All right.
And you go to the refrigerator and you're looking through and there's like eggs and all this other stuff and you're like, nope, there's nothing in there. And then your shirt says like, where's the tofu? And I was like, his character is vegan too, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Whose idea was that? Was that, did you go to the writers and you were like, make my character vegan?
No, they did make him vegan because I guess it just came out in the way that they wrote him that he's like a vegan Venice bro.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had any influence on it or not, but gag of trying to make that little girl breakfast and looking through a full fridge to them is funny because it's just this guy that has no idea how to like cook anything. Probably, because he's just looking at like all this breakfast food and then he's like, meh, nope, sorry kid.
Gotcha.
But that is like a way better.
I definitely interpreted it that there were like eggs and other things that he didn't want to make her, so he was like, no, there's no food in there. That's how I took it. But
that's way better.
You know,
yeah.
That was my biased brain and how I interpreted. We're here today at the Woodstock Farm Sanctuary where we're going to meet some amazing animals, some amazing staff, and some amazing people behind the rescue efforts of these very exploited animals. So let's go inside and check out the scene.
As a little kid, my best friend was a beagle. I'd sleep in his bed every night with Barney, my beagle. And as I grew up and he unfortunately left us, in high school I was getting involved in animal issues and I didn't want to do the classic conundrum in your anatomy and physiology class, dissecting of a fetal pig or cat or the cow's eyeball. And so my professor at this really nice school I went to gave me an option of watching a couple of videos he got in the mail instead, and they were from PETA. And it was all about the use of beagles in laboratories, and it changed my world because that was my dog I saw in those videos. And I learned more from there, and since then animal testing's been an issue that's resonated with me. It offends me just because we're using something sacrosanct like science for a very strong profit motive and at the expense of very vulnerable beings that most Americans have this real relationship with and can easily empathize with because they share our homes and our lives and a big part of our culture.
I think the most annoying, more than question, is just attitude and way they see things. When they tell me like, oh, but like, why do you care so much? Like, chill. I'm like, our planet, we're sharing, don't be selfish.
Yeah.
It's so annoying, so annoying.
I know, like your meat consumption affects me because I live here too.
Yeah, it's not fair, it's my house. Move out. Your lease is up. And that's for reals, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Our humanity's lease is up on this planet, yeah, and you know, if we wanna re-sign.
We gotta get those roommates on point.
Thank you so much for doing what you do and being a part of this movement. It's so important, and it's so important that we stick together.
Vegan power.